$500,000 on the watch. 3 bands on the sweater just to let it watch.
Fires up a 3. It's good. And the foul. Paul Ayton. Chris Paul has taken control of game 1.
You can send it Bitcoin down the dribble, it was stock.
Paul on the drive. Got it and one. Chris Paul's first finals game has been a brilliant performance.
That man is Jalen Anthony Rose. I'm David Dowling Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. Tell them what is it that we
get
do.
The people
yes,
what
we do.
They want.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals was last night. You were there in the building as the Phoenix fans were electric watching CP3, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, and others take Game 1. We're going to break down all the angles, no matter how small, but we start with the biggest story, the performance of Chris Paul. Jalen Rose, what do you think of CP3?
It was amazing to watch him go out and have back-to-back 30-point games in this year's playoffs. The first time he's done that all season. And how about the fact, for me, Jacoby, this is my 19th consecutive year covering the NBA Finals on television. It's the biggest stage in basketball. I was really proud to see Giannis return and finish the game healthy. I was extremely proud to see Chris Paul do something that he doesn't do in the regular season. That's put up gaudy stats. The reason why he's been underappreciated by so many, besides just having the championship rings, is that in the regular season, he doesn't put up the art video game stats. So sometimes his impact can't be measured by numbers. And so when he gets in these games and he decides to score, it's incredible to watch him take over a basketball game and be so very effective, be so very efficient, and size up each opponent. It could be Lopez. I'm going to give you that work. It could be Bobby Portis. I'm going to give you that work. It could be Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. It doesn't matter. He was an equal opportunity employer. And his ability to score the basketball as well as drop dimes just unlocks the floor for a guy like DeAndre Ayton. As I see him streaking up and down the floor as a big man that can change ends and be agile, it has me thinking like our OG Tommy, put on my heart. It reminds me of the Milwaukee Bucks when they added the big O. He was late in his championship. He was late in his career. He hadn't won a championship. They paired him with Kareem. Of course, Ayton is no Kareem. He's just a mobile big guy. And Chris Paul is a veteran point guard. And so all of a sudden, he's able to feed him. And you're going to see all of these stats about Ayton's points, his rebounds, his 80% from the floor. You're going to see CP3, 30-point games, and the number of points he had for a 36-year-old. You're going to see him, Devin Booker, and Ayton each combined for 81 points total. That's the most this season. And so when you're unlocking the floor like Chris Paul unlocking the floor, everybody gets a chance to feel good about their game. The ball has energy, and the Phoenix Suns now lead this series 1-0.
Everybody in Phoenix should feel good, but Jalen, let me tell you why the Milwaukee Bucks should also feel pretty good after that game last night. A gentleman by the name of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Both you and I did not expect him to play, but when it was announced he was playing, I didn't know he was going to look like that. Like in the first half specifically, he looked like unhobbled, ready to play Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, the Bucks didn't really challenge. They got down to like 7 or 8 in the second half, but you've got Giannis at what looks like close to full strength moving forward in the rest of the series. What do you think about Giannis's first half specifically?
I think he moved really well if you were watching the game, in particular vertically. Horizontally, he struggled a little bit. During dead balls, he hobbled a little bit. He limped a little bit. I watched his every move from the time he took the floor to warm up. I watched him in every timeout, and there were some lingering effects. You saw him miss a couple of bunnies, in particular one layup that he's used to dunking. But that chase down block was incredible because those are the kind of plays that he got injured on. Going up in traffic and having to land freely. I can't lie. I was disappointed the first play of the game that they tried to run a lob for Giannis. I'm like, what are y'all thinking? I'm like, what are y'all thinking? Like, don't put him in that same action. But also, there's something to be said for that, because it's almost like a boxer saying they're taking their first punch, or a football player saying they're taking their first hit. I felt like after that, he felt more comfortable and confident to play his game. And so I agree with you. We get rewarded. And also, I want this for the Phoenix Suns. You know why? When you play against the Lakers without Anthony Davis, Denver without Jamal Murray, the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard, there will be some people that act like they want to put an asterisk on this. But I'm just going to say divine intervention is now happening for Chris Paul. They're in the NBA Finals. Giannis has returned. Now he just needs some help. Where was Jrue Holiday? I was disappointed in his game. And I know how much you like Jrue Holiday as well. I was disappointed that he didn't show up and give me some offense yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, Jrue Holiday, to me, is the true X factor in this series, because you just don't know what you're going to get. You saw it in the Nets series, too. It's just like, some days he's going to have 20 and be extremely efficient. He's always there in the defensive end, but some days it looks like it did last night. Now, Jalen, while I was watching this game, one thing I was thinking, it almost looked like Chris Paul was playing with his food. It almost looked like when he was in the pick and roll, he could do whatever he wanted. Oh, you got Brook Lopez on me? I don't even have to take him to the hole. I can just do a little sidestep jump shot. And he could take it to the rack, too, if he wanted to. And he could also had Ayton on the lob. Whether it was Bobby Portis switched on him or Lopez dropping, whatever it was, it seemed like Chris Paul not only had the answer for it, but had any answer he wanted for it. What do you think about that?
You got to make an older player a driver. It's tougher to finish amongst those trees. He crossed Bobby Portis and got to the front of the rim, but you got to make that more of a diet. You can't allow him to yo-yo your big and then get into his rhythm 15 to 18 foot. He gonna step back on either elbow and knock that down. You see that? That's a fat Joe. That's lean back. Lean back. That's rhythm, dog. That's all he doing. And so I applaud Chris Paul's ability to get it in all phases. But you know what else I like, Jacoby?
What's that?
I like to watch people work the game. I like that there aren't 5 people standing around the three-point line launching fast as they can with 21 seconds to go on the shot clock. They're actually exhausting possessions and forcing somebody else to play D, forcing somebody else into a switch. Oh, you're going to show too high? We're going to throw the lob over the top to Ayton. And also, I have to give another shout out to 2 people. They share the same first name. Cam. Let's get a young fella some credit. Champagne and Campaign, and Johnson be knocking down his corner threes, man. He hustled on D and he switched out on the perimeter, but he knocked down his corner threes. Both of those guys came in off the bench, and they allowed the team to play a lot faster. We're going to talk about their big 3, and of course, they're going to be the headliners. But when you're at the game, you get a chance to see these guys and their true impact on what they've done for a team. So shout out to Monty Williams and his coaching staff for the player development of those young guys.
Health has been the storyline throughout the entire playoffs, and it was a little bit the storyline yesterday. Not only did Sarge go down, which is bigger than people think, but after the game, Malika asked Chris Paul about his hand, and here's what he had to say. It's interesting.
Campaign and all the coaches been talking about us playing with pace. Yeah. I'm the old head that like to slow it down sometimes, but in this series, we got to play with pace.
And we saw you getting your hand wrapped up. Everything good? You feeling good for game 2 already?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There you go.
Jalen, you know I'm the senior broken nose analyst because of all my broken nose, but you've had a hand injury in the NBA. Are you concerned about Chris Paul's hand?
Broken hand, broken wrist, a plate and 5 screws in my hand currently as I broke my 4th metacarpal. The plate keeps this part of my hand together. Steph Curry had the same thing happen, but the new technology allowed him to go back in, have the pins removed, so 20 years after he's playing or 50 years after he's playing, he can actually have knuckles and use that part of his hand. For Malika to pay attention to what happened with Chris Paul, it's a classic example of what I mean. It's like being a former player. It's like you're really in the foxhole. When you're at the game, you're really seeing everything. So I get a chance to see every time Giannis winced or he limped or Chris Paul grabbed his hand. But that's not going to keep him out of the game. I'm not necessarily worried about it. He's overcome a shoulder injury. He's overcome COVID protocol. He's dealt with, watched other teams have injuries. He said he comes from a praying family, and he must do, because these playoffs been some divine intervention, playing against the Lakers without AD, playing against the Nuggets without Jamal Murray, playing against the Clippers without Kawhi. I believe this moment is for Chris Paul to seize his first championship, but one game at a time. This is going to be a long series, so buckle up, everybody.
And we will give some thoughts on Game 2, not just tomorrow, but later on in this show. But next, we'll be discussing the offseason.